Good afternoon, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the presentation, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. To ask a question, please press star 1. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would like to introduce your host for today's conference, Mr. Jared Liu. You may begin.
Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for joining today. This is the webcast on starting a tree group and operating sustainably. This is also the Brown Bag Lunch Series, which is a monthly webcast held at the lunch hour, sponsored by the Alliance for Community Trees. The idea is to leverage local successes by amplifying to a larger audience two model organizations' methods, materials, and approaches. We'll have two speakers today. After the first one, there will be about 10 minutes of questions and answers, then the second speaker, and then the remaining time will be for questions and answers. You can either ask questions via the phone by calling for the operator, or you can type a question in online and I will read it to the presenters for you. This is a program of the Alliance for Community Trees. If you're not a member, I encourage you to please join to support programs like this. Also want to thank our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service, for making these sessions possible. And then finally, I want to introduce our speakers for the day. We're pleased to have Marcia Bansley from Trees Atlanta and Anna Dooley from Greenscape of Jacksonville. Marcia is Executive Director of Trees Atlanta and an Atlanta native who's been involved with the conservation movement for 26 years. She received her undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt and a law degree from Emory University. She's an attorney and served as a law clerk to the Regional Counsel of the Environmental Protection Agency and as an intern to U.S. Senator Sam Nunn. Among her numerous national awards are the National Arbor Day Award, the National Stafford Award, and the Gardens for Peace 15th Anniversary Award. In 1992, she received Georgia's Environmental Woman of Action Award and the American Institute of Architects Special Award for Excellence. Marcia was recently recognized as one of 20 women making a mark on Atlanta by Atlanta Magazine. Business to Business magazine featured Marcia as a diva in a recent issue about Atlanta's top female executives. We're pleased to have Marcia, and the floor is yours, Marcia.
Hello, everybody. Have you all got the presentation ready, Jared?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. Trees Atlanta has been around since 1985, and the PowerPoint here can be repeated later. I'll just give you some ideas about what to do together. Excuse me. When you're starting a nonprofit, the basic thing you have to do is to identify the problems in your community and then figure out what you want to do about them. Each community has a different problem, so whatever works in Atlanta won't work wherever you are, but you know what your needs are and you can figure it out. And then, Jared, go to practice the basics. Okay, make your needs known, and part of the thing is in the nonprofit world is be free to ask whatever you need for help. When we began, I needed everything, and so we asked for a free office, and we got it. We asked for public relations help from public relations professionals. First of all, we didn't get it, but then after a while, we did get it. So you can just realize that if you're in the nonprofit world, you can ask for anything, and you can ask up at the top of every place. For example, go to the head of the public relations company rather than just starting out with the bottom person. And keep everything simple. Find resources wherever you can, and figure out ways to make things happen. Next, Sharon. What you need to do if you're going to set up a board in the nonprofit world, if you're going to try to raise money, it's really, really important to have some corporate people involved. A lot of times I've done it. I started one nonprofit that just had our do-gooder groups, and it's very, very hard to raise money that way. So if you're looking for sustainability, one of the things you have to do is connect yourself up with the business community. And in here, I say get one powerful person to believe in you. And to do that, you've got to prepare yourself to go in front of that person and have some really good talking points and understand what the problems are. So you're going to have to do some upfront work to get the ask for this person in order. One of the things I think is very helpful in any town you're in is go and talk to whoever raises money for the hospitals, because they know who are the givers in that community and who are the movers and shakers that should be on your board. And so it's important to work slowly and get the right people on the board. I can give advice to anybody who'd like to call me up about how to do all this stuff. And the other thing is, when, as I said here, when donors give services of any kind, ask them to send you a bill for the time and then count that donated service to match any grants you have. Next. Again, building a board takes longer than you think. Always start high up in your recruiting. Then you basically set expectations for every board member. In this world, you should read all you can read about how to set up a board. There are plenty of books about that, and we can find a lot of them around here. If there's a community foundation in your community, ask them to help fund you some startup costs. In our case, we had no money at all. The community foundation gave us money for a telephone and to start, and we got a free donated office space. So it takes time to put it all together, but it can be done. And again, don't make giant committees. When I first started, I put 27 people on a public relations committee. Never do that. Just put about 3 people on a committee. That's more than enough. I can give you advice on how to fire leaders too if they drive you crazy. Next, Sharon. Okay, that's putting together a board. There's a lot of information on that. As I said, startups need everything, so look for everything you can get. Investigate getting discounts, and then get your volunteers to donate used furniture from their homes or round up donations from business contacts. We had the great good fortune of having a free office space donated. Let's see. When you're starting out, this is advice a lady gave me. Do a 3-year budget, even though you don't know you're going to exist after tomorrow. If you have a 3-year budget, which figures out what your projects are going to be, how much it's going to cost, and all of those kind of things, then it sort of encourages people to think, well, this group already knows it's going to exist for 3 years. When we did this, we had a 3-year budget. We figured out the projects that we wanted, and we figured out the stuff. And I went to a bank president and asked him to consider donating, and he said, do you mind if I donate for 3 years? And I said, no, twist my arm. Go ahead, donate for 3 years. So having a 3-year budget can make a lot of difference there. And what you put in the budget is very important. When we first started out, I called something public relations, and instead, if you call it public information, it's much more accessible. There is an organization called the Association of ASLA, I forgot. No, that's the wrong one. But anyway, I can get you some more information on how to set up a budget and things like that. If you're going to build a volunteer base, anybody who contacts you, get their email, and it takes time to do all this thing. Once you've got the volunteers, make sure you have their emails and their names and their skills. And you never know. Kind of ask people what they want to do, because one person wanted to do computer work for us rather than plant trees, and that person did computer work every Sunday for a long time for us. At any rate, when you're ready to start with the volunteers, the picture here, finding volunteers and future donors, you can see the green T-shirt. That's a standard Trees Atlanta T-shirt, and it helps us connect volunteers with us, because the only way you can get that T-shirt is you have to do 6 projects with us. And it turns out it's a pretty good marketing tool, because people will say, that's a cool T-shirt, how do I get one? We say, well, you can't buy them, you have to work and get them. So after you've done 6 projects, you get a T-shirt, and people like that kind of thing. I have some specific ideas about doing a project. Try to do it only in a very limited time every weekend from 9 to 12, and then have pizza afterwards. The social aspects of the thing are what helps tie the volunteers together. Also, just be sure that you reward them and tell them how the project that they're doing relates to the bigger thing. And then one thing is, if you're starting new, don't publicize yourself in the press immediately. Wait until you get your act together, because you don't always get the media coverage more than once, and so you want to be careful with what you do rather than just blowing it out in the front. So get yourself together, maybe even wait a year until you do the publicity for it. And this PowerPoint says get a pager. Of course, that's old. Get a cell phone now, so you can always be available. and think and act visually for the benefit of the TV. The reason our T-shirts are green is because they photograph better on TV rather than the white T-shirts. So I always have green T-shirts or a similar color, obviously. I can give advice on any of this stuff along the way. The cultivating and thanking donors. Anybody who gives you anything is a donor. If they give you a discount on what their services are, that's a gift. If they give you in kind, which is a classic thing, for example, if a public relations firm gives you help, you acknowledge them as though they had given you money, because that's the equivalent of what they've done. The certificate of appreciation is really, really basic and can be done very easily, and I usually frame it in a $2 frame that you get from the drugstore so that they have it to hang on the wall, and it's amazing how that has a nice effect. I can send you a sample of that if you need it. And you never know, if you've got a major donor you want to thank. In our case, we've got a jeweler to donate a waterford crystal bowl as a gift. And then also, one thing when you begin is make sure that you always take pictures of the befores and then the afters, and then wait until the trees are green again and photograph them later. Photographs are really, really important, and it's a lot of times you forget to do the befores as well as the afters, of course. And then also make friends with the government. If you're going to deal with a public official of some sort, for example, in the planning department, treat them very nice, thank them for what they did, ask for their help, and basically just be as personal and friendly as you can be with them. Next, then. Raising funds. The importance of having a big, important board is vital for, I think, for anybody who's trying to do this. And there's a term in fundraising called a case statement. And the case statement is to tell the universe what problems you see in your city, how it can be solved, what the budget is for that, and that's what you go out and take to major donors. It's a very complex thing, but inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it's awfully hard. So you can also look out and see, if you talk to people that do fundraising for a living over in the hospitals or at the symphony, for example, they're likely to take you under the wing and help you out. So the other thing is really obvious: be honest. Don't try to deceive anybody. It's always a small world, and the donors talk to each other. So you definitely don't want to be any kind of person who doesn't tell the truth, because that's just the most deadly thing you could possibly do. That's so much for this PowerPoint. Keep everything simple, find resources wherever you can, and figure out ways to make things happen. And I'm available individually to give anybody help if they'd like it along the way. That's it, Jaron.
Great. Thanks, Marcia. And if the operator can open up the lines for questions and answers.
Okay. All right, thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please press the star 1.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 and record your name. To withdraw your question, please press star 2. Once again, please press star 1 and record your name if you have a question.
And Marcia provided a lot of resources that couldn't fit into this presentation, so we're going to provide a resource list afterwards, and it'll have a number of tips and suggestions that she provided, so look for that afterwards. I'll start off by asking Marcia, are there maybe 2 or 3 things, of everything that you did to start an organization that you would say are the most critical, or are these all on the same plane and, you've got to do all in order to move the organization ahead?
The most critical to me is the quality of the board of directors. If you're going to raise money in the community, you can't just have do-gooders and tree planters. You're going to have to connect yourself up with the corporate community in your city or town, and that means the bankers and the utility people, and you want to go as far up as far as, in other words, a senior vice president of these organizations rather than just a lower-level person. The reason you do that is because, first of all, it adds a lot of credibility to your organization, and it's also, as they say in the trade, that's where the money is. generally, if a corporation commits their executive officer, they also commit funding, and that's been really, really important. It could mean as much as $20,000 if you have an executive vice president of a major corporation on your board. Also, go after the utility companies because you're going to be involved in a lot of utility issues along the way. And they're huge resources to help, and plus they might even give you a truck or something like that. So focus on the quality of your board and put your efforts toward, making sure that you have a good board. And you might say, well, how do I know they even like trees? Well, they will like trees, and they do like trees. So even though they're not all the tree huggers of the universe, they are corporate people, and those are the vital elements for keeping the tree organization funded.
And I think I read that Trees Atlanta had a major program shift early in its existence. Can you talk about how y'all handled that?
I was the only person working in our office for 8 years, and we focused on planting the major trees downtown. And we did that with contractors, and we had to raise the money from corporations to do that. And then gradually, because of various things happening, we started to focus on planting trees in the neighborhoods. Georgia Pacific grew some young trees for us, and we started planting them in the neighborhoods. So it evolved into Neighborwoods, the program that we have now. But we also continue to do the major tree planting downtown with contractors. So it's two different programs, and basically you go where the need is. If the need is, downtown, that's what you focus on. If the need is in the neighborhoods, that's what you focus on.
One thing that's of increasing or of extreme interest to me is, some more about the founding of the Alliance for Community Trees. And my understanding was, you and a number of other executives around the country got together and decided that, a bunch of small organizations together were going to be more powerful together. Can you talk about how it was that you all came to decide that ACT was something that you needed to do?
It was the time of the Farm Bill in 1990 or 1991, and urban forestry was just sort of getting considered in the Farm Bill. And so we needed to be a united front and try to get some funding from Congress for urban forestry. So we kind of called everybody and said, come to D.C., come to the meeting, and let's figure out if we can go to Congress and get some money. So we had almost no money, and we stayed like 4 to a hotel room and gathered up together and began the thing. And we went to Congress. A lot of us went door to door in Congress, and because they had the report from the grassroots people, they did fund it. I think it was $32 million that they would not have gotten if we hadn't gotten together and gotten out there and campaigned for it. So individual people can make a difference, but as a group we can make a bigger difference.
Okay. We have a question from someone in a small city. She says, I'm in a small city. Would we be better off partnering with an adjacent jurisdiction to access more money and bigger donors?
It depends. Maybe, could be. If you've got a bigger city nearby that has, like bigger corporations, yes, maybe you should. Sometimes you have to look at where the corporations are located. If they're located, say, in the center city and you are in the suburbs, yes, you might want to do that. You have to. I think it is a good idea to consider combining. You just have to figure out if you can get your work done by being with that bigger place. And maybe that's the only way you can get your work done. I ran a nonprofit that didn't have any major corporate players, and I know it's very, very hard to raise money that way. So you can consider it, and if they want to call me up, I'll give them individual advice.
Okay. And someone else asks, how do I get rid of ineffective board members?
Ho, ho, this is good. I speak as one who fired the president one time. One of the things you do is you call up and say, you first of all give them a task to do, and if they don't do it, then you say, Joe, I see that you're really, really busy with a lot of other things, and perhaps, you'd like to resign because we see that you're busy with other things, and this isn't an appropriate way to do it. That's one way. The other way I did is I said to the president of the board, I said, guess what? We have a new president. It's going to be John Hemby. And this guy said, well, I thought I had more time to serve. And I said, well, things have changed, and John Hemby is our new president. So you can be super polite. We gave the man who was leaving a nice present and thanked him and sent him on his way. There are very polite ways to get rid of people. You can also do terms, but I've never really done a very good job of having 3-year terms for each board member. I would say just, if they're not effective, if they haven't done any work, just say, we really need your help, and if you feel like you don't have the time here, maybe it's appropriate for you to resign. I can give individual tutoring on that too.
Marcia, do you have any suggestions for setting up an endowment for nonprofits?
Very hard to do, very hard to do, very hard to do. I would say you need to think about it, and it took us a long, long time to even begin to do it. You have to figure out how to get some money, and it's hard enough to raise the money to keep the projects going in the beginning. The endowment is, what we have done is, for example, one of the ways we raised money in the beginning of Trees Atlanta and for many years is we would take on doing a contract like a new building was coming to town, and we would work with that building and plant the trees around that building and across the street from that building, and they would pay us some money. And if we had any excess money, we would put it into the future endowment. So over time, we accumulated money. That's one way to get the money into the endowment. You never know. You can put into your newsletter that remember Trees Atlanta in your will, because sometimes that'll help. That money can go into the endowment. It's very complex. We haven't done a fabulous job at that, but it does take time. And don't run for the endowment first. I mean, go out there and do your projects for 10 years or more, and then work on your endowment.
Great, thanks. So we will close the lines and move to the next presentation. If anyone still has questions for Marcia, you can hold them till the end, and after Anna's presentation, the lines will be open for questions for either presenter.
And we do have questions at this time. Did you want to take those from Marcia?
Oh, I'm sorry. I go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were chiming in if you had them.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Alicia Fritsch, Keep Cobb Beautiful.
Hi.
Hey, Marcia. Actually, my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any
Jennifer
other questions
Smith,
from the operator?
Tennessee Urban Forestry Council.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Hey, Marcia, it's Jennifer.
Hi.
2 things. One is there a natural organization already that exists in a community that could be a partner in a tree foundation?
Yes.
In consolidating nonprofits?
Sure. Basically, the keep your city beautiful is keep Atlanta beautiful, or keep each one beautiful. That's one partner that could be there. Lots of times they're funded by the county anyway, so that's a possibility. That's more than anything else, I think, a natural one. And then also sometimes it depends on the size of the city. Kiwanis, for example, might take you all on as a sub, and it just depends. I would not go first thing for that. I would try to, and call me up and let's discuss it rather than just giving you an.
Next question.
Yeah.
As you have evolved, what is the outline of your staffing right now?
We have, and it took a long time to get here, we have a development director who helps raise money. We have a communications and sort of office manager person. We have a person who handles our membership, which is all of our our donations and thanking everybody and keeping track of all that. Plus, he does special events. And it took a long time to get here. We have a person who manages the Neighborhoods program. We have a person who does invasive species stuff. We go into parks and we clean out invasive species and stuff like that. And that person also does some education. We have a program director who manages all the various programs that we do. We have a person who manages the big tree plantings with contractors. That's a big job. We still do it, and we still make money that way. So we have those people, and then there's me. So, we also Now, because we've evolved, we have about 4 people who do maintenance all the time of the trees. That's a hard thing to keep going because there's a constant turnover in maintenance people. And, we used to contract it out, and that probably is a better way to do it, but that's who we have on staff now.
Thank you.
There are no other questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to the next presentation. We have Anna Dooley, who is Executive Director of Greenscape of Jacksonville. Under her leadership, Greenscape has excelled as a community tree planting organization, earning numerous local, state, and national awards, and increasing the tree canopy of Jacksonville by tens of thousands of trees. Her background includes 15 years with the Charter Company, as well as Public Relations Director at the Museum of Science and History. In 2004, Anna was the recipient of the Jacksonville Environmental Protection Board's Award for Outstanding Individual. She received the Trees Florida 2007 Award for Outstanding Individual at the state conference. Noting her dedication to improving the environment, Mayor John Payton honored her with the first annual Mayor's Award for Environmental Achievement in 2007. We're pleased to have Anna.
Thank you, Jared, and hello to everybody out there. I need to preface my remarks by saying that although Greenscape began 10 years earlier than Trees Atlanta, I'm still, I think, a neophyte in the field and worship at the altar of Marcia Bainsley. She's done everything that we're all supposed to do. So I think we're probably going to have a little bit of repetition here since she went first and she knows everything. I'm sort of going to echo some of her things and maybe elaborate a little bit in some areas. Jared had asked me to speak about creating a board and a network of partners and board structure, addressing volunteers and funding, as well as sustainability. So as I mentioned, Greenscape started in 1975. The initial founders really just enlisted friends to help them lobby for downtown trees, which is much the way Atlanta started. Gradually, that group grew into sort of a loosely formed organization. They started doing a little bit here, a little bit there. Then they got incorporated. Once they became incorporated, they really became more viable in the view of community leaders and funders. Over several years, they ran what was known as a baby tree program, and they planted like 14,000 trees at schools and on highways with grant monies. Gradually, more awareness is growing. But simultaneously, for the first 12 to 15 years, the organization was run off of somebody's kitchen table. There was no staff, but what they had was this incredibly empowered board. As the group got more ambitious, success was inspiring more action. They took on some really massive forestry efforts. They conducted large volunteer plantings in one day that would plant from 1,500 to 4,500 trees. Finally, they realized maybe we need some staff. We're kind of going someplace. So then they recruited a part-time person. And I think mainly because of the sense of ownership and the passion that the founders and the initial board of directors had, they couldn't keep anybody here. So it was like a revolving door for many years, and no one ever stayed for more than a year, usually due to mutual consent. However, I came 11 years ago, and they're going to have a real hard time getting rid of me because I found where I want to be, and I think we're working. I will address board structure, and I know that Marcia touched on this. What we kind of do is create a matrix, if you will, of needs. I call it putting together the 4 Ps: passion, power, professionals, and people who have or who can help you get some money. Board needs should reflect the needs of a business I mean, we are operating as a business. We are in the business of improving our communities. A business is going to need a legal advisor. I have attorneys and actually a judge on my board. You're going to want to address loss prevention. I have insurance people on my board. Financial oversight is a big part of running a business. Therefore, we have accountants, we have financial planners, and lots of bankers on our board. You always need professional consultants. Of course, in our business, it would be foresters, landscape architects, developers, nursery owners, and arborists. We also would look to a business to have someone to deal with human resources. Our human resources are volunteers and those people that can tap into sources of volunteers. Product development is something that a business concentrates on. Our product development would be those people on our board who are passionate visionaries. Public relations, well, in addition to having professionals in the field on our board, every single person that sits on your board represents your organization in the community. So they need to be skilled in representing your mission and why they're there on the board. So we spend a lot of time totally informing board members as well as trying to continuously engage them and inspire them so that they have their little elevator speech to give to people when they say, "What have you been doing lately, George?" "Well, I'm on the board of Greenscape." We actually even had some business cards printed up with all of our information, and on the back, critical notations about what's happening locally to our urban forest. These people can take them and hand them out to people. Although I know Marcia has fired people before working on the committee or the board, and that's true, we've had a similar situation, but I think no matter what the track record, we never leave a past president in the dust because we make them honorary members. That way they still receive information, they still receive invitations, and they also receive invoices for membership dues. So we keep them, you know, in the loop without requiring too much from them and not having to deal with some of them as much as we had to. We've also found it extremely helpful to develop a roster of liaisons. These are people that we've invited to serve on our board. They offer us lots of areas of expertise. They attend our meetings and functions. Currently, right now, we have people from the State Department of Agriculture, the State Division of Forestry, the City Forester, City Engineers and Planners, Utility Company Forester, and the Department of Transportation. All of those areas obviously are critical to what we do in planting trees and protecting them. So their input at our monthly meetings and at our events is very valuable. We have, in the past few years, started inviting someone to serve as a board intern. These individuals typically are from underserved areas of the city and don't normally possess the credentials that we normally seek, except for their passion for the environment. Their passion is usually the strongest on the board, and because they come from areas that are really not that familiar with a lot of our board members, they have opened up avenues to us to go into different areas that we have not been able to enter into and to do some projects. Their knowledge of the geography and economic need in some areas around town has been a major gift and a great contribution to us. I will mention that we do have terms on our board. We have a 3-year term, which is renewable at the discretion of the board president. And I would say in 90% of our term expirations, most all of them are renewed because most people, once they get it in their blood, And if they're a productive member of our board, we ask them to re-up for another 3 years. Regarding network of partners, my advice is mainly to educate yourself on the local level. Read the business section and keep involved in what's going on in the city. I think joining and being heard, be vocal in civic opportunities, any activities that you can participate in at your time, your schedule, and your interest may lie are very beneficial, not only to you personally, but to the organization. Volunteer your time and network whenever you have that opportunity. Obviously, speak at functions such as the Kiwanis Club, the Lion Clubs, garden clubs. I go to lots of garden clubs, and there's all the little ladies there, and you get a free lunch, and they're so excited to hear your message, and that's what you've got to do. You have got to deliver a well-thought-out, documented, and compelling case for your organization. It's also helpful to participate in professional organizations such as the Association of Fundraising Professionals. That way you can learn who other organizations are partnering with. Find out who your funding competition is and how you can make yourself attractive to partnerships. One place that we've been very successful in forming partnerships is with other nonprofit organizations. Oftentimes, for instance, we've partnered with Ronald McDonald House and Habitat Homes and United Way. These may have specific projects that maybe they don't have a budget for trees. This is a great opportunity to not only fulfill your mission of planting trees, but you're working with another nonprofit organization, you're exposed to their board of directors and their donors, and you're cultivating new friendships. But most critical, I think, is always treat your partners as the family members you would have selected if you'd been given a choice. Keep them informed. As Marcia said, be honest, be grateful, be on time, be the partner that they want to work with again and again and again. I try to recognize them not only, of course, in our newsletter and everything that goes out, any press releases, but doing something at a public forum is a nice thing. Our mayor has an annual Mayor's Environmental Luncheon. It's a huge event, 500 people. And so we give out awards to people that have really helped us along the way and been outstanding each year. And we also give out awards at our annual meeting, which is sort of a big deal. So that's just really a great stage to recognize them and maybe to inspire some of their peers to want to have that same recognition. As you do with your partners and your donors, volunteers. One of the topics that Jared gave me was volunteers as repeat customers, and it's almost like the care and feeding of volunteers. I think there's several points. One is make the experience fulfilling. Did they learn something new that day? Will they leave with a sense that they've made a difference? Is there something they're going to take with them home, some reference material? Goodies go a long way. Be sure that personal comfort is addressed, plenty of water and snacks, even the occasional meal sometimes. We don't give pizza all the time, Marcia, like you do.
We don't give it. We let them buy it.
Oh, I should have known that. Providing convenient and clean restroom facilities. We always put our volunteers in really bright colored T-shirts, and they vary. We give them to them for each event because it not only serves as like a badge of honor after the event, but also as a safety sort of device during the event if we're out on a roadway or whatever. And in addition, people that drive by and see your name on the T-shirts of scores of people raise awareness to what you're doing. Equipment such as appropriate tools and work gloves should be available for those that don't have their own. And if necessary, we provide transportation to planting sites. that's efficient and safe. And of course, in that arena of volunteers, thank you. Thank them that day in person. The next week, you take the information that you gathered from the sign-in sheets and you generate written thank you notes. You put their contact information in your system so they get your newsletters, they get your calls for volunteers, and they get membership solicitations. You're cultivating a whole new audience. Maybe volunteers again, maybe members, maybe donors. Funding the operation and making it sustainable is a particularly interesting topic for me to address right now. We do offer memberships at various levels, starting at $25 and going up, and we do pretty well with our continuing membership drive. We also have a sales program. We have a partnership with a local utility company that allows us to sell some seedlings, and they're special seedlings from a local historic tree. We also do certificates and memorial program. We have a beautiful baby tree certificate. We do memorials and commemorative certificates, and we do a holiday greeting card. All of those are for a nominal cost, like $25, and it goes towards our programming, but we just say that a tree is planted in honor or to commemorate or whatever, not really a specific we don't do a plaque or anything because you can't do that for $25. We also have a flowering tree sale, and this coming February will be our 21st flowering tree sale. It's really a small fundraiser in the grand scheme of things. A lot of people make a whole lot more money doing things, but our viewpoint is it fulfills that part of our mission about promoting trees, and really we enable people that probably wouldn't go out and spend money on trees to be able to have some to plant, because we generally only mark them up a couple of bucks a tree. They're all on consignment, and we do pretty well with it, and actually the money that we have earned from that over the years has enabled us to establish an endowment fund, which I know you were addressing a little bit earlier, Marcia. Generally, the grant avenue is one that we have really tried to cultivate. For several years, we were able to get some grants through the Department of Transportation, their Highway Beautification Grant Program. As a matter of fact, we brought in $1 million in funding for our city in tree planting under that program. Under your State Division of Forestry, I would check with them for what grants are available. Initially, the organization was able to actually get some funding for administrative overhead, which you know is really hard to come by. But you can only do that, I think, for a limited period of time. And now we're going with specific projects, and that's a great revenue stream. Foundations, to me, are like, I don't know, CSI. It's like a constant investigation to find new foundations out there that we can pursue and hopefully find some common ground of interest. Try to stay current with what's going on in your state capital and in D.C. for potential donors. Our representative in Washington actually sends me updates every few weeks about different environmental grant opportunities that are coming our way, and that's very helpful. Special fundraisers, creativity, I guess, is the name of the game, or maybe just desperation. But we've done lots of different things. We roasted one of our board members, and that was great. It was a small fundraiser, but a really good time, and people loved it, and that was one thing we could do. We piggybacked on another event. It was actually like a debutante party and very self-serving. And a friend of one of the hostesses said, why don't you kind of turn this into something a little different? Have a silent auction there for Greenscape at this mammoth party that they were having. And they said, oh, yeah, you know, that made them look a lot better and added a dimension to their party. So, you know, we handled the silent auction. It was great. It was fun, made a little bit of money there. Houston has set the mark here for what is known as the Root Ball that they've been doing for many years out there. We are actually going to have our first Root Ball this coming February, and we're fortunate enough to be partnering with a very influential, very well-connected and successful garden club. And the ladies of this garden club have adopted this project as their fundraiser, and through a partnership that we formed with them, we're really looking to do well with that this year. And I think the most important thing I can convey about that, as I said, it's ironic that I'm speaking about sustainability. I have learned an incredible lesson this year, and that is to diversify your income stream and not be dependent on a revenue source as a constant. Of course, nothing in life is guaranteed, and I got some firsthand knowledge about that. For the past 14 years, we have been the recipient of a city public service grant, which has been immensely helpful in covering our overhead. However, this year, as a result of statewide property tax reform, which had a devastating effect on municipal funding, the local public service grant program was severely restricted. As a matter of fact, many nonprofits were totally eliminated from funding. We were one of them, and our loss was close to 50% of our operating budget. That's why we're doing the Root Ball, and we're stepping up the tree sale, and we're really working on foundations. We're going to be okay this year, but it's not to say that we didn't lose a lot of sleep over losing that funding. So I think I've probably talked more than I'm supposed to talk. I have lots of materials. Anybody can contact me if you want copies of baby tree certificates or whatever. I'm sure I'd be happy to do that for you. Jared?
Thanks, Anna. All right, we will open the lines for questions and answers. The operator on the line? Okay, well.
Yeah, Kate, did you want to ask questions?
The lines are open for questions and answers?
Did you want them open?
Please.
Okay. Again, please press the star 1. And please record your name. To withdraw your question, please press star 2.
Okay, and you can also type your questions in. And here's one. Someone asks, Anna, what portion of your budget is for programs and projects, and what portion is used for staff and infrastructure?
The answer to the budget question is, well, first of all, programs and projects, how do I put this? And I'm not really the knowledgeable person. We have an operating budget, period. The operating budget covers keeping the doors open, occupancy, just cost of doing business and salaries. That our little operation, I mean, unlike Marcia, who has this grand staff, we only have me and a part-time assistant. So therefore, I mean, we operate on $150,000 a year. All of the projects that we work with, we may generate $2 million worth of projects through here a year, but we keep all that separate. That makes sense?
We'll let that person post a follow-up if it doesn't. I was kind of chuckling, when you were saying that you treat your partners like family, because, there's the old saying that you can't choose family. Do you have a formula for choosing partners that, some sort of
Well, you missed my comment that you would treat your partners as family members that you would have selected if you had a choice. And so far as selecting partners, I think I look for organizations and individuals that reflect our standards. So in other words, everything that I hold out for my behavior and the activities of this organization is what I want reflected in our partners.
Okay. And would you say there's a certain type of partner who's most critical, whether it be certain level of government, other nonprofits with similar missions, business, foundations? Who would be the most critical partners in what you do?
I think someone. Actually, I have a highly critical partner right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to discuss this diplomatically. Someone who feels that they are doing us more of a service, more of a favor, and maybe they feel very benevolent, and they don't have the big picture that what they're doing for our organization is going to be beneficial to them as well as the community in a whole. And most of my partners get it. They know that what they're doing for Greenscape is a great reflection on them. This particular one is, I think, just maybe not so experienced in graciousness and how to deal with nonprofits. How is that for diplomacy?
Very nice. And here's a follow-up to the question from before. The question is, so the $150,000 is for staff and overhead for the office and basic infrastructure?
Yes, postage and insurance. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Does the operator have any questions?
Yes, we have two questions. The first one.
Ron Combs, City of San Luis Obispo, California.
Hi, Ron.
Hi. Yeah, we have a relatively small city with a small city staff that does tree work, and we're looking to encourage a nonprofit group to aid with stewardship and early tree care, plantings. We have a lot of people that are interested in it, but no one person to kind of take over and become the key leader. We have a small group, the Downtown Foresters, that do some work, and we'd like to build on that. Any ideas, any models out there that have done that? Kind of encouragement from the city, groups that we can say no to, but sometimes say yes if the project is right?
Marcia may be better on responding to that because of her experience nationally is greater than mine. I'm just thinking from my local, we try to stay involved with the city in any way that we can. I think it's a matter of finding someone that has the passion to want to do it, to want to take the lead and find someone with that leadership ability. I don't know, Marcia, what would you say?
There's a possibility of the Junior League. I don't know if your town is big enough to have one, or Junior Service League. Those are women who are used to volunteering every week and who've been trained to be good volunteer leaders. That's one possibility of looking for somebody there and talking to the president of that organization and seeing if they know somebody.
Okay.
It depends on, please call me up and we can discuss and get some ideas. I think, like she says, passion is it, and getting somebody who's, or what else is, talk to other nonprofits in your city and see if they know somebody who might be the appropriate one. Maybe nobody's asked that person yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have another question.
Jennifer Smith, Tennessee Urban Forestry Council.
Hi, Jennifer.
It's me again. I have a question for both of you, and it's about board development and broadening your board to have those that are experts in some capacity in urban forestry, and then bringing on the heavy hitters that can help with fundraising. And how have you all successfully blended those two groups in one group, or have you all divided them up? I know the Children's Hospital here that I used to serve on their board, we had the Friends group, we were the Workabees, and then we called it the Big Board. They're the heavy hitters that were the presidents of everything and raised big dollars. So we didn't really blend per se. But I know a lot of organizations are so small, they don't have time to effectively coordinate two organizational groups, boards or friends. It's just one, if they're lucky.
Jennifer, it's Santa. at Greenscape, everybody sits around the same table. And that's why I think we do as well as we do, because we have the people, we will have literally someone who is a bank owner sitting next to our board intern from an underserved area of town. What brings us all together is trees. So by pooling our talents and our resources, I think the people that are like the heavy hitters you're referring to, yeah, they know that they can go out and they can pick up the phone and they can get some bucks brought in, but maybe they don't know how to recognize an elm tree, right? So you've got somebody across the table who's talking and educating them. At every meeting, there's always an opportunity for cross-education from all these different parts of the community. And put together as a whole, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing for our organization. Marcia, do you have a comment?
We, in a strange way, focus more on the community leaders, and we have one landscape architect who knows everything about trees, and we have one urban forester who knows a lot about trees. So they are part of our board. We don't have a huge number of foresters on that board because there are not that many spaces on the board. There are only like 26. If you get bigger than that, you're just crazy, because you'll go crazy trying to do that. At least it's my opinion.
We have 29 regular board members, and then we have, I think there's 6 liaisons. And they all just seem very compatible.
Yeah. I think that, it's, who knows? I think you have to do whatever can work in your area.
Yeah.
Don't have any magic answers.
So mostly, even though your heavy hitters are there just solely to raise funds, more or less, not to be involved in program development per se, which is not where their expertise is.
No, the heavy hitters somehow have evolved into being really interested in what we're doing, and so they help the whole thing. We have a strategic plan meeting every about 3 years with a facilitator, and we figure out where we want to go. And I guess we're extremely lucky. Those people who are the heavy hitters are involved in what we do and why we do it.
Well, I agree. In our situation, our board, maybe it's because we are so small and because of we still have, pardon the pun, the roots of the organization from the founders involved on a monthly basis. And so when we have a planting project or a pruning project, everybody shows up. They know that it is part of being on the board of directors of Greenscape. It's a great board to be able to point to and say that you're on. It's everybody feels good about it, and everybody wants to be a participant and wants to carry their fair share. So we really don't have that demarcation. Our heavy hitters are out there digging with everybody else. And as you said, Marcia, it's every situation is unique.
Thank you both.
Great. Any more questions from the operator?
No, so there's no questions at this time.
Well, we are just past 2. I apologize for starting late to everyone, but I do like to close it up just around 2 o'clock as promised. So I will put up a survey. If everyone can take 2 minutes to answer 5 questions at that survey, I'll also send around an email so you have that direct link. That'll help us to improve our programming. So please do take that survey. The next webcast is on January 17th. It's utility companies, and I think Center's mentioned partnering with utility companies, so I know a lot of ACT members do that, but I hope everyone can join for that. But for this webcast, thanks to everyone who joined. Special thanks to Marcia and Anna for presenting. We're tremendously lucky to have both of them and their wealth of experience. And thanks to our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, everybody who listened.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Anna.
And Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.